The Honourable Budimir Lonchar, my respected old-time friend, Madam Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me first of all convey warm greetings from United Nations headquarters in New York as you meet to discuss the UN yesterday, today and tomorrow. This year, the 70th anniversary of the United Nations has indeed prompted much reflection around the world on our common global institution in this troubled, complex and interdependent world that we see around us. As we look to the past, both distant and more recent, we can see many manifestations of the usefulness, the vital necessity, I would say, of such an institution standing up for peace, development and human rights. In times of crisis and escalating tensions, such as the height of the Cold War, the existence of the UN has ensured that representatives of world powers have continued to meet across the table in search of a peaceful settlement of conflicts and solutions to outstanding issues. In situations of grave humanitarian suffering, as we see around us today, the UN system and member states have worked together to feed, to shelter, to clothe, to educate and advocate for the victims. As the UN's first emergency relief coordinator in the 90s, I recall vividly our intense efforts on behalf of the peoples in the Horn of Africa at the time, and of course your own war-torn region. The UN has also been instrumental in the evolution of international development work. In the last 2 decades alone, we have witnessed the most concerted effort to combat absolute poverty in human history. Great strides were made under the Millennium Development Goals. We expect even more to be achieved with the now adopted Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which have set a transformative agenda for the next 15 years. And as we look back, we also recall some of the tragic consequences of the failure to mobilize international cooperation and international action, from Rwanda to Sri Lanka to Syria today. This is why it's so important that we sometimes step away from the day-to-day crisis to consider our guiding values and our direction forward, as you are now doing over the next 2 days in Zagreb. We must make sure that the United Nations of today and tomorrow meets the pace, the scale and the complexity of a continuously evolving global landscape. Dag Hammarskjöld, the second UN Secretary General, after whom your host institution is named, I'm grateful for that, once said, "Never look down to test the ground before taking your next step. Only he who keeps his eye fixed on the far horizon will find his right road." As we consider the future of the UN in this milestone year of 2015, I believe there is a powerful lesson in these words. The future, yes, is the step we take tomorrow. But the future is also, as Hammarskjöld reminds us, the horizon, the vision. As we take our steps through today's crisis and challenges, many of them, we must not lose sight of the horizon, our vision of the future of the world that we want and the world as it should be. We have plenty of next steps ahead of us, from ongoing work to translate the goals, the new goals, into change on the ground, to integrating important reviews on peace operations, peace building, and on women, peace and security, to working to secure a meaningful universal agreement in Paris this December to tackle, finally, climate change and environmental destruction. Through all this, we must stand by the values, the purposes, and the principles laid down in the UN Charter, this wonderful document, established 70 years ago and which we now celebrate. Only then can we take the next steps without hesitation. Only then can we take the next steps without faltering. I wish you an inspiring and productive meeting.